It was a cool evening in the small town of Willowbrook, where every house seemed to glow with warm lights, and the air smelled faintly of fresh pine. Children were finishing their dinners, cats were curling into little balls by fireplaces, and the last traces of sunset painted the sky with soft streaks of pink and lavender. But in one little home on the edge of the woods, a girl named Lila sat by her window, wide-eyed, watching the stars begin to twinkle. She loved the night, not because of the darkness, but because every night felt like it carried a secret waiting to be told. Paragraph 2. Lila wasn't like most children in Willowbrook. While others rushed to bed as soon as their parents called, she stayed awake, listening. She believed the night whispered stories if you were patient enough to hear them. Sometimes she caught the rustle of the leaves, as though they were exchanging secrets. Other times, she thought she could hear the slow hum of the river, like a lullaby meant only for her. Tonight, though, the whispers were different, more lively, almost as if the night itself was preparing to tell her something wonderful. Paragraph 3. Her bedroom was cozy, soft blue curtains swayed with the breeze, shelves were lined with picture books and seashells, and a little lamp shaped like a moon glowed gently at her bedside. Yet, no matter how safe and snug her room felt, Lila's imagination always drifted toward the woods just beyond her window. Those woods were dark and full of shadows, but they also sparkled with mystery. Her grandmother often told her, "The forest listens to kind hearts." And Lila wondered if, tonight, the forest had decided to listen to her. Paragraph 4. As she leaned closer to the glass, she noticed something unusual. The stars above the forest seemed to shimmer brighter than the others, forming a trail of twinkling lights that almost looked like a path in the sky. Her heart fluttered with excitement. She pressed her ear against the windowpane, and for the first time, she heard words in the night's whisper, "Come and see." The sound was soft, gentle, and filled with wonder. Lila blinked, unsure if she had imagined it, but deep down she felt it was real. Paragraph 5. Pulling the blankets around her shoulders, she whispered back, "Where should I go?" But the night only answered with the faint rustling of the trees. She lay back in her bed, but sleep didn't come. Instead, she stared at the ceiling, her mind alive with questions. Something about tonight felt different, as though a story had begun, and she was part of it. With a deep breath, she closed her eyes and promised herself she would be ready. The whispers of the night had chosen her, and tomorrow, she would find out why. The next morning, Willowbrook awoke to the cheerful chatter of birds and the smell of freshly baked bread from the village bakery. But Lila hardly noticed any of it. All day long, she thought about the whispers she had heard the night before. "Come and see." The words echoed in her mind as she brushed her hair, helped her mother with chores, and even while she tried to draw in her little sketchbook. She felt as if the night itself had given her an invitation, and it was too important to ignore. Paragraph 2. That evening, as the sun slipped low and painted the horizon gold, Lila returned to her window with a racing heart. The stars appeared one by one, just as they always did, but soon, she noticed the same unusual brightness over the forest. Again, the lights shimmered in a curved line, glowing stronger than the others, forming a delicate trail. This time, it wasn't only her imagination, the path was clearer, as if it were waiting for her. Lila held her breath, sensing that the night had been expecting her return. Paragraph 3. She pulled on her soft wool sweater, slipped her feet into her little shoes, and tiptoed through the quiet house. Her parents were in the living room, speaking in hushed tones about the day, and her younger brother was already fast asleep, hugging his stuffed bear. No one saw her open the back door and step into the cool night air. The moment she crossed the threshold, she felt a gentle breeze wrap around her, carrying the faint scent of pine and earth. It was almost as if the forest had exhaled in welcome. Paragraph 4. The woods were not frightening as she had once imagined them. Instead, they felt alive, glowing under the moonlight. Fireflies danced lazily in the air, and the rustling leaves seemed to hush in greeting. Each step Lila took was soft, cushioned by moss and fallen leaves, and the stars above her shifted ever so slightly, aligning themselves to show her where to go. She whispered to herself, "I'm not afraid," though her voice quivered with excitement. And in that moment, the trail of starlight seemed to brighten, guiding her deeper into the forest. Paragraph 5. Then, as she reached a small clearing, Lila saw something that made her stop in awe. At the very center of the open space stood an ancient oak tree, its branches wide and silver with moonlight. But what caught her breath was not the tree itself, it was the small wooden door carved into its trunk, glowing faintly as though it held a light within. Lila's hands trembled, but her heart filled with courage. She knew, without a doubt, that the whispers had led her here for a reason. And as she stepped closer, the night seemed to hold its breath with her. Lila stood before the ancient oak, her breath caught between fear and wonder. The little wooden door looked impossibly old, its surface etched with swirls and stars, as though someone had carved the night sky into its frame long ago. She reached out and touched it, surprised to find it warm beneath her fingertips, as if the tree itself were alive and watching her. The faint glow around the edges pulsed softly, like a heartbeat, and Lila whispered, "May I come in?" Though she wasn't sure why she asked, something deep inside her told her it was the right thing to say. Paragraph 2. The door creaked open slowly, revealing not darkness but a gentle, golden light that spilled out onto the mossy ground. Lila squinted, taking a cautious step forward, her heart thumping. She expected to see roots or damp earth inside, but instead, she found a spiral staircase made of smooth stone, winding downward. Each step glowed faintly, as though lit from within. The air was warm and carried a scent like honey and wildflowers. Lila hesitated only for a moment before stepping inside. The door closed softly behind her, and she felt, curiously, no fear at all. Paragraph 3. As she descended, the sounds of the forest faded, replaced by a low, melodic hum. The staircase led to a wide chamber that seemed carved from crystal, its walls shimmering with soft hues of blue and gold. Tiny lights floated in the air, not unlike fireflies, but these glowed steadily, like little stars that had wandered down from the sky. At the center of the chamber was a round pool of water so clear it looked like glass. The surface reflected not her own face, but the night sky above, filled with constellations she had never seen before. Paragraph 4. Lila approached the pool carefully, drawn to its beauty. As she leaned over, she noticed the stars within the water shifted and swirled until they formed shapes. First, she saw the outline of a deer leaping gracefully, then a fox with bright eyes, and finally, an owl with wide wings. Each image shimmered and then dissolved, leaving ripples that sparkled like diamonds. Suddenly, the hum in the chamber grew louder, and from the pool rose a soft voice, neither male nor female, but calm and deep, "Welcome, Lila. We have been waiting." Paragraph 5. Lila gasped and stumbled back, her heart pounding. "Waiting, for me?" she whispered, her voice trembling. The pool glowed brighter, and the stars within it swirled faster, forming a path that seemed to stretch far beyond the chamber. The voice replied, "Yes. You are the listener of whispers, the one who hears what others do not. Tonight, your journey begins." Lila's fear melted away, replaced by a glowing warmth inside her chest. She didn't understand everything, but she knew one thing: this was the story the night had promised her, and she was ready to step into it. The crystal chamber glowed brighter as the pool's ripples spread outward, and slowly, the shimmering animal shapes began to rise from the water. First came the deer, tall and graceful, with antlers that sparkled like starlight. Then the fox stepped forward, its fur glowing softly like embers in the dark. Finally, the owl appeared, its wings spreading wide, each feather tipped with silver light. Lila stood perfectly still, her eyes wide, unsure if she should bow or speak. Yet, when the creatures looked at her, their gaze felt kind, as if they had known her forever. Paragraph 2. The deer lowered its head, its voice like a soft breeze through the trees. "Lila, you are gentle, and you listen with your heart. That is why the forest trusts you." The fox padded closer, its eyes glinting with curiosity. "But you are also brave, even when your knees tremble. That is why the night has chosen you." The owl lifted from the ground and hovered just above the pool. "And because you seek truth, you are ready to see what others cannot." Lila's heart swelled, and though she felt small in their presence, she also felt safe, as though she belonged here. paragraph 3-inch eye. I don't understand, Lila said softly. What am I supposed to do? The deer stepped closer, its antlers brushing faint sparkles into the air. The whispers you heard were not by accident. The night speaks only when it has something to share. The fox added, beyond these woods lies a place where dreams are woven. But something has disturbed its balance. If left alone, the dreams of children everywhere will scatter like smoke. The owl's eyes gleamed as it finished. You, Lila, are the dreamer who listens. Only you can help restore the dream. Paragraph 4. Lila felt a shiver run down her spine, but it wasn't fear, it was wonder. She thought of all the nights she had spent listening to the wind, the river, the forest. She had always believed the night was alive, whispering to her, and now she understood why. I'll help, she said firmly, surprising even herself with the strength of her voice. If the dreams need me, I'll do it. The three creatures exchanged a look, their eyes shining with approval, and the pool shimmered brighter, as though celebrating her answer. Paragraph 5. The owl swooped down, landing gracefully on a low crystal ledge. Then your journey begins now. From the pool rose a silver bridge of light, stretching far into the unknown. The fox's tail brushed gently against Lila's hand, as though urging her forward, and the deer bowed, signaling respect. Lila took a deep breath and stepped onto the glowing bridge. Each step felt weightless, as if she were walking on moonlight itself. Behind her, the chamber grew smaller, but ahead, a vast horizon of stars opened wide, waiting for her arrival. Lila walked across the glowing silver bridge, each step carrying her deeper into the starlit horizon. The night around her was vast and endless, but instead of fear, she felt a steady warmth in her chest, as though the guardians' voices still lingered inside her. The stars whispered softly, guiding her forward, until at last, the bridge led her to a meadow unlike any she had ever seen. Flowers shimmered with colors too beautiful to name, and a gentle stream flowed with silver water, sparkling like liquid moonlight. This was the place where dreams were born. Paragraph 2. But not all was well. The meadow seemed dimmer than it should have been, its glow flickering like a candle in the wind. Above the flowers hung strands of glowing thread, weaving in and out of the air, each one pulsing faintly with a dream. Yet, some of the strands had grown tangled, knotted together so tightly that the light within them had begun to fade. Lila's heart ached. These weren't just any dreams, they belonged to children everywhere, and without them, the world would lose its sparkle of hope and wonder. Paragraph 3. The guardians appeared beside her, glowing softly. The deer whispered, "Use your kindness, Lila." The fox added, "Use your courage." And the owl's eyes gleamed, "Use your heart to listen." Lila nodded and stepped toward the tangled strands. She placed her small hands on the glowing knots and closed her eyes. At first, she heard only silence, but then, faintly, the whispers returned. Each tangled thread carried a voice, a child's wish, a laugh, a dream of flying, a dream of being loved. Listening carefully, Lila began to untangle the knots one by one. Paragraph 4. It was not easy. Some threads were tight and heavy, filled with forgotten fears, while others trembled with sadness. But each time Lila listened, she found the strength to pull them free. Her kindness soothed the restless threads, her courage steadied her trembling hands, and her heart guided her when the knots seemed impossible. Slowly, the meadow brightened, the flowers glowing stronger, and the silver water shining more brightly. When at last the final knot loosened, the meadow blazed with light, and the dream threads floated freely once more, weaving themselves into a beautiful tapestry above her. Paragraph 5. The guardians bowed to Lila, their eyes warm with pride. "You have restored the balance," said the deer. "The dreams will flow again," said the fox. "And the world will rest in peace," finished the owl. The meadow began to fade, soft as a sigh, and Lila felt her eyelids grow heavy. She blinked, once, twice, and when she opened them again, she was back in her cozy bedroom, the moon-shaped lamp glowing gently by her bed. She smiled sleepily, pulling the blanket close. Outside, the night whispered its softest lullaby, and for the first time, Lila drifted into dreams knowing the night itself was her friend.